Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Beneath the rolling hills and bustling cities of Britain lies a hidden world, one of ancient civilizations, long-lost treasures, and untold stories waiting to be uncovered. What if the ground beneath your feet held secrets stretching back thousands of years? What if history wasn't just written in books but buried right beneath us? From the remnants of ancient Roman towns to the ghostly echoes of the Stone Age, this video will take you on a journey through Britain's most astonishing archaeological discoveries. Britain's landscape is a palimpsest, layer upon layer of human history stacked on top of one another. From the distant echoes of Neolithic settlers and Celtic tribes to the vast influence of the Romans, the grandeur of medieval castles, and the industrial might of the Victorian age, every inch of this land tells a story. Today, we'll explore some of the most significant archaeological finds in British history, discoveries that have rewritten textbooks, challenged our understanding of the past, and revealed how Britain has evolved over millennia. From mysterious sunken villages to buried treasure hoards, and from forgotten Roman towns to the eerie remains of ancient battles, we'll uncover the secrets that history left behind. And stick around until the end, because we'll also dive into a discovery so shocking it completely changed the way we understand Britain's early inhabitants. Let's step back in time and unearth the hidden history buried beneath Britain's soil. Prehistoric Britain. Before Britain was a land of grand castles and mighty kings, it was home to ancient civilizations that shaped the landscape in mysterious and fascinating ways. For thousands of years, people roamed this land, leaving behind clues about their lives in the form of stone circles, burial mounds, and intricate artifacts buried beneath the soil. But who were these early Britons, and what do their remains tell us about their culture, beliefs, and way of life? Let's start our journey at the very beginning. The dawn of civilization, the first Britons tens of thousands of years ago, Britain was a vastly different place. A land of ice, roaming megafauna, and nomadic hunter-gatherers. Evidence suggests that early humans inhabited Britain over 800,000 years ago, surviving in harsh conditions alongside woolly mammoths and giant deer. One of the most famous discoveries from this period is the Happisburgh footprints, found on a Norfolk beach in 2013. These 800,000-year-old footprints, believed to have belonged to early human relatives, are the oldest ever discovered outside Africa, revealing that Britain was one of the earliest known locations of human habitation in Europe. As the Ice Age ended and the land became more hospitable, Britain saw the rise of Neolithic farming communities. These early people built settlements, herded animals, and engaged in elaborate burial rituals that still intrigue archaeologists today. But it was around 5,000 years ago that Britain saw the rise of one of its most iconic prehistoric sites, Stonehenge. The enigma of Stonehenge. Perhaps the most famous prehistoric site in Britain, Stonehenge is a monumental structure that has fascinated historians, archaeologists, and visitors for centuries. Estimated to be over 4,500 years old, this ring of massive standing stones in Wiltshire remains one of history's great enigmas. Who built it and why? Archaeologists believe it was constructed in multiple stages, with the first phase dating back to around 3000 BCE. The massive sarsen stones, some weighing up to 25 tons, were transported over long distances, possibly from Wales, using a system of logs and sledges. But how an ancient civilization with limited technology moved these massive stones, some from over 150 miles away, remains a mystery. Even more intriguing is the fact that many of these stones were carefully arranged to align with the movements of the sun. During the summer solstice, the sun rises perfectly in line with the monument's heelstone, suggesting that Stonehenge was an important site for early Britons, possibly used for religious or astronomical purposes. Recent excavations near the Idea site have uncovered burial mounds and other ceremonial structures, suggesting that Stonehenge was part of a much larger and complex landscape, possibly a place of pilgrimage or a sacred site of worship. Some researchers even speculate that it was used for astronomical observations or as a healing center. The first elite, the Bronze Age, begins as the Neolithic period gave way to the Bronze Age. c. 2500 BCE, 800 BCE, Britain saw the rise of a new kind of society, one that was defined by metalworking, social hierarchies, and an emerging elite class. One of the most famous discoveries from this era is the Amesbury Archer. This high-status burial, dated to around 2300 BCE, was found near Stonehenge and belonged to a man who is believed to have been a metalworker or warrior. His grave contained over 100 objects, including the oldest known gold artifacts in Britain, as well as copper knives, flint arrowheads, and stone wrist guards, suggesting he was a figure of great importance. Even in this early stage of civilization, wealth and power were already concentrated in the hands of a few individuals. The presence of gold, sophisticated weapons, and even items made with materials not native to Britain, like artifacts traced to the Alps, suggests that long-distance trade routes already existed. The exchange of goods and ideas may have helped fuel technological and cultural progress, shaping Britain's early civilizations. Buried Kings, the mystery of Sutton Hoo. Moving forward in time, another incredible discovery rewrote our understanding of Britain's early history: the Anglo-Saxon ship burial at Sutton Hoo, 7th century CE. Discovered in 1939 in Suffolk, England, this burial site contained an entire 90-foot-long ship, along with an array of treasures, including a solid gold belt buckle, a ceremonial helmet, and a shield. It's widely believed to be the final resting place of an Anglo-Saxon king, possibly King Redwald of East Anglia. What makes Sutton Hoo so important is that it shattered the misconception that the so-called Dark Ages were devoid of culture and sophistication. The gold and garnet artifacts, finely crafted armor, and Byzantine silverware discovered in the burial suggest that Anglo-Saxon Britain was not just a land of warring tribes, but a place of wealth, artistry, and connections to a wider European world. These archaeological discoveries highlight an important pattern in history. Even in times of collapse and turmoil, there were always those who worked to preserve knowledge, culture, and civilization itself. The role of wealthy patrons, religious institutions, and ambitious leaders in funding the continuity of civilization is undeniable. As we move forward in the video, we will explore similar moments in history where civilizations fell, but were saved by the foresight of key individuals and institutions. Who funded the Renaissance after the Middle Ages? Who rebuilt Europe after World War II? And in today's world, who is ensuring that civilization continues to thrive into the distant future? Let's find out. As we move forward in time, Britain enters a new era, the Iron Age. This period, spanning from roughly 800 BCE to the Roman conquest in 43 CE, was marked by the rise of powerful tribes, sophisticated metalworking, and massive hill forts that still dot the British landscape today. The people of this era, often referred to as the Celts, lived in a tribal society governed by warrior chieftains and druids, and their influence can still be felt in modern British culture. But it's through archaeology that we truly understand their lives, beliefs, and conflicts. The mysteries of Iron Age Britain. The Iron Age saw the decline of Bronze Age cultures and the introduction of iron tools and weapons, which transformed agriculture, warfare, and craftsmanship. Unlike the large stone monuments of the Neolithic and Bronze Ages, Iron Age Britons lived in well-organized hill forts, which served as both settlements and strongholds for warring tribes. These impressive earthworks, often located on high ground, gave them strategic advantages and protected their growing communities from rivals. But beyond the military aspect, the Iron Age in Britain was also a time of great cultural and technological advancements, as seen in some of the most extraordinary discoveries of this era. The chariot burials of Iron Age Britain. One of the most intriguing and visually stunning discoveries from this period is the practice of chariot burials. The Iron Age Britons, particularly the Celts, held a deep connection to their horses and chariots, often burying their elite warriors with full chariots and horses, believing they would continue to ride into the afterlife. The Arras chariot burials. 5th–3rd century BCE. In what is now East Yorkshire, archaeologists discovered a series of Iron Age chariot burials, some of the earliest in Britain. These chariots, often buried with their wheels still attached, suggest a society where war and status were deeply linked. Warriors were sent into the afterlife fully equipped for battle, sometimes with weapons, shields, and even sacrifices of horses buried alongside them. One of the most spectacular finds was the Pocklington chariot burial, discovered in 2018. Archaeologists unearthed a fully intact chariot with the remains of two small horses standing upright, as though they had been buried in motion, pulling the chariot into the afterlife. But the most famous chariot burial discovery happened in East Yorkshire, where archaeologists uncovered the grave of an Iron Age warrior, buried with his chariot and two horses arranged as if they were leaping out of the ground. The burial, thought to be 2,500 years old, belonged to a member of the Parisii tribe, a Celtic group that lived in eastern England. The discovery revealed the significance of chariots in warfare and high-status burials during the period. Stone circles and the mystery of the builders. No discussion of Britain's ancient past would be complete without Stonehenge, but this world-famous monument is just one of many megalithic stone circles scattered across the British Isles. From Avebury, the largest stone circle in Britain, to the mysterious Callanish stones in Scotland, these sites continue to puzzle archaeologists. New excavations around Stonehenge have recently uncovered mass graves, ceremonial offerings, and even a second circle of buried stones at a site called Durrington Walls. The latest research suggests that Stonehenge was once part of a much larger sacred landscape that played a key role in ancient rituals, perhaps aligning with solstices, astronomical cycles, or even unknown religious ceremonies lost to history. But the mysteries of prehistoric Britain don't stop with stone circles. One of the most famous and enigmatic finds was unearthed in Amesbury, Wiltshire, the Amesbury Archer. The Amesbury Archer, a story of power and prestige discovered in 2002 near Stonehenge, the Amesbury Archer is the richest early Bronze Age burial ever found in Britain. His grave, dating to about 2300 BCE, contained over 100 artifacts, including the earliest known examples of gold objects in Britain. But who was he? The artifacts, including a set of finely crafted flint arrowheads, gold hair ornaments, and the earliest known copper knife in Britain, suggest he was a high-status individual, perhaps a leader or a warrior. Is it possible that he was involved in the construction of Stonehenge's later phases, or even one of the first to bring metal tools to the island? The Battersea Shield and the Battersea Hoard. Britain's ancient warriors didn't just rely on skill in battle. They also wielded exquisitely crafted weapons and armor, as seen in the many hoards of the Iron Age. One of the most stunning finds was the Battersea Shield, an intricately designed bronze shield discovered in the River Thames. Unlike a battlefield shield, this masterpiece was likely a ceremonial offering, thrown into the river as part of a religious ritual. The craftsmanship, with its detailed Celtic patterns and swirling red enamel, is breathtaking. This discovery suggests that early Britons placed great importance on ritual sacrifices and offerings to deities, especially in relation to rivers, which were seen as sacred. Other stunning finds, such as the Petrie crown, the mold gold cape, and the Snettisham hoard, reveal a rich tradition of jewelry making and fine metalwork that thrived long before the Romans ever set foot on British soil. Lindoman, a window into the past. Perhaps the most haunting discovery of the Iron Age was found not in a burial mound, but in a bog. In 1984, a work crew in Cheshire unearthed Lindoman, a remarkably well-preserved bog body dating back to around 100 CE. The body had been preserved for nearly 2,000 years in a peat bog, with even his skin, hair, and stomach contents still intact. What makes Lindoman fascinating is how he died. His remains show signs of 3 separate injuries: a blow to the head, a slit throat, and strangulation. This suggests he may have been a human sacrifice, possibly to appease the gods or mark a significant event in Iron Age Britain. His body, found in the bog, is thought to be evidence of ritualistic killings among the Celts, perhaps linked to Druidic religious practices. A land steeped in mystery. Prehistoric Britain is full of mysteries. Why were people in the Neolithic so obsessed with building massive stone structures, some of which align precisely with astronomical events? Who were the elite individuals buried with intricate jewelry, weapons, and even entire chariots? How did metalworkers and stonemasons develop such sophisticated skills so early in human history? Each of these discoveries raises new questions as much as they answer old ones, offering a glimpse into a past where art, religion, and warfare shaped the course of British civilization. As we journey through time in this video, we'll move beyond the prehistoric era and into the age of the Romans, Vikings, and Anglo-Saxons. Each of these groups left an enduring mark on Britain's landscape, through the construction of cities, the introduction of new technologies, and the creation of magnificent treasures. So, join us as we step back in time and uncover the secrets buried beneath Britain's soil, revealing the stories of the people who came before us and the mysteries they left behind. Roman Britain, the empire's edge and its hidden treasures. By the mid-1st century AD, Rome had fully conquered Britain, bringing with it roads, cities, trade, and an entirely new way of life. The Romans introduced literacy, large-scale architecture, and advanced engineering, leaving behind some of the most extraordinary archaeological finds ever discovered on the island. But what was life really like in Roman Britain? From the rugged defenses of Hadrian's Wall to the personal letters of soldiers stationed on the frontier, the remains of Roman Britain give us an intimate look at an empire's reach, its wealth, and ultimately, its collapse. Let's explore some of the most incredible discoveries from this era. Hadrian's Wall, the northern frontier of the empire. One of Britain's most famous Roman landmarks, Hadrian's Wall, was constructed in 122 AD under Emperor Hadrian to mark the northern limit of the Roman Empire. Stretching 73 miles from the east to the west coast of Britain, the wall was meant to keep out the warlike Picts of Scotland, while also serving as a military stronghold and customs checkpoint. Even today, visitors can explore forts, mile castles, and turrets that remain standing along the wall's length. Excavations at sites like Vindolanda and Housesteads Fort have uncovered remarkable finds, including wooden writing tablets that reveal details about daily life on the frontier. Some of these tablets contain personal letters from Roman soldiers stationed at the wall, discussing everything from birthdays to the cold weather in Britannia. Notable discovery: the Vindolanda tablets, 1st–2nd century AD, among the most fascinating. Finds from Hadrian's Wall are the Vindolanda tablets, a collection of thin wooden writing tablets covered in ancient ink inscriptions. These messages, some of the oldest handwritten records in Britain, give us a rare look at the daily lives of Roman soldiers. One letter from a Roman woman named Claudia Severa invites a friend to her birthday party, showing the daily lives of the people stationed at the frontier. Other letters include complaints about the quality of British beer and requests for more supplies from home. These messages, written in cursive Latin script, are some of the earliest surviving examples of handwriting from Roman Britain. But Roman Britain wasn't all about military campaigns and defenses. It was also a place of immense wealth and prosperity, something made clear by the astonishing Hoard. The Hoard, a hidden treasure trove. Discovered by a metal detectorist in 1992, the Hoard is one of the largest and most valuable collections of Roman gold, silver, and jewelry ever found in Britain. Dating back to the late 4th and early 5th century AD, the hoard contained more than 15,000 coins, as well as gold bracelets, silver spoons, and intricate Roman jewelry. Archaeologists believe the hoard was buried by a wealthy Roman family as insurance, during a time of great turmoil, when Roman control in Britain was collapsing. The timing is key. The early 5th century saw Roman rule in Britain crumbling as the empire's legions retreated and left the island to fend for itself. The owner of the Hoard never returned for their treasure, and it remained buried for over 1,500 years until it was discovered by a farmer in 1992 using a metal detector. The wealth of this find sheds light on the economy of Roman Britain. It contained over 14,000 gold, silver, and bronze coins, as well as ornate jewelry, silverware, and personal items, revealing the wealth and opulence of Britain's elite just before Roman rule collapsed. The Roman Baths of Bath, an ancient spa. Town, 60 AD. One of the most famous sites in Roman Britain is Bath, known in ancient times as Aquae Sulis. This city became a thriving Roman settlement thanks to its natural thermal springs, which the Romans transformed into a stunning complex of baths and temples. Built in the 1st century AD, the baths became a center of social life, religion, and healing. The Roman Baths of Bath remain one of the most well-preserved examples of Roman engineering, with lead-lined pools, a hypocaust heating system, and elaborate statues and mosaics. The baths were not just for relaxation. They were social, religious, and medical centers where people would meet, make offerings to the goddess Sulis Minerva, and even conduct business. Some of the most intriguing discoveries at Bath include the curse tablets, small sheets of lead inscribed with messages asking the gods for revenge or help. Many of these curses were thrown into the sacred spring, often seeking divine retribution against thieves or unfaithful lovers. One tablet, for example, begs the goddess to punish the thief who stole a cloak and a pair of gloves. Even today, the hot springs of Bath remain one of the most famous archaeological sites in Britain and offer a fascinating glimpse into how Roman Britons lived, worshipped, and sought healing. The Hoard, a Roman treasure trove. The late Roman period in Britain was marked by decline and uncertainty, as the once mighty empire began to fall apart. In the early 5th century AD, the legions left Britain to deal with problems elsewhere, leaving the population to fend for itself. This period saw a wave of treasure hoards being buried, most of them never to be retrieved. One of the most significant discoveries was the Hoard, found in 1992 by a metal detectorist in Suffolk. This massive hoard included over 14,000 Roman coins, 200 pieces of silver tableware, and hundreds of gold jewelry items. Experts believe the hoard was hidden by a wealthy Roman-British family as Britain fell into chaos, with Roman rule collapsing and Saxon and Viking invasions on the horizon. The Hoard was valued at nearly $2 million, making it one of the most valuable hoards ever discovered in Britain. Its survival for over 1,500 years is a remarkable testament to the power and wealth of the late Roman era, frozen in time by the sands of Suffolk. Next up, the Viking and Anglo-Saxon age. As the Roman Empire faded, a new wave of invaders arrived, the Anglo-Saxons and Vikings. In the next chapter, we explore how these warriors reshaped Britain, leaving behind legendary burial sites like the Sutton Hoo ship, mysterious hoards of Viking silver, and even entire lost settlements buried beneath our feet for centuries. Stay tuned as we continue uncovering Britain's hidden past. Anglo-Saxon and Viking Britain, warriors, gold, and lost kingdoms. As the Roman Empire withdrew from Britain, a new wave of peoples arrived, the Anglo-Saxons and later, the Vikings. These warrior cultures reshaped the island, carving out new kingdoms, traditions, and legends. They also left behind some of the most breathtaking archaeological discoveries in British history. This chapter explores how Anglo-Saxon kings were buried like Norse gods, how Viking warbands left their mark on English soil, and how treasures of gold and silver tell the story of conflict, power, and belief in early medieval Britain. Sutton Hoo ship burial. The treasures of an Anglo-Saxon king, one of the most famous discoveries in British archaeology is the Sutton Hoo ship burial, found in 1939 in Suffolk. This 7th century burial site, attributed to an Anglo-Saxon king, possibly King Redwald of East Anglia, contained a stunning ship burial, one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in British history. Inside the ship, archaeologists found a warrior's helmet, a magnificent shield, a ceremonial sword, a lyre, and an array of finely crafted gold and silver objects. The iconic Sutton Hoo helmet, with its intricate animal designs and face mask, has become a symbol of the Anglo-Saxon era. This discovery revealed the wealth and power of early Anglo-Saxon rulers, proving that their civilization was not just a chaotic, warring horde, but a highly developed culture with art, trade networks, and international connections, including influences from Scandinavia, Byzantium, and the Middle East. But before the Anglo-Saxons could establish their powerful kingdoms, they had to battle for control of Britain, and one of the biggest threats to their rule came from across the North Sea, the Vikings. The Staffordshire Hoard, a war chest from the Dark Ages. Another stunning treasure hoard, the Staffordshire Hoard, was discovered by a metal detectorist in 2009. This hoard, dating to around 600–700 AD, contains nearly 4,600 pieces of gold and silver, making it the largest cache of Anglo-Saxon treasure ever found. Among the discoveries were gold-adorned sword hilts, intricately designed crosses, and an enigmatic golden helmet crest. Experts believe these items belonged to a high-status warrior or king from the Anglo-Saxon period, hidden during a time of political turmoil and warfare between warring Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. Could the Staffordshire Hoard be linked to an ancient battlefield? The dating suggests it may have belonged to a warrior involved in the violent power struggles of the 7th century, a period when Anglo-Saxon England was still forming its distinct identity, while the Anglo-Saxons ruled much of England by the 8th century. A new wave of warriors was coming to challenge them, this time from the north. The Viking Age and the Norse invasion. 9th–11th century AD. The Anglo-Saxons weren't the last warriors to rule Britain. In the 9th century, Norse invaders, known as Vikings, arrived, bringing with them new military tactics, shipbuilding techniques, and cultural influences. Many of these Viking invaders weren't just raiders, they were also settlers. The evidence of their presence in England has been found in buried treasure hoards, ancient battlefields, and even Viking ship burials that suggest a cultural exchange between Norse and Anglo-Saxon traditions. The Viking hoards, treasure from an age of raids. One of the most remarkable discoveries from the Viking Age in Britain is the Staffordshire Hoard, found in 2009 by a metal detectorist in a farmer's field in England. This treasure trove, dated to around 675–725 AD, consists of over 3,500 items, including gold and garnet-encrusted weapons, religious artifacts, and mysterious golden crosses. One of the most famous finds from the hoard is an intricately decorated gold sword hilt with filigree patterns and animal motifs that show the incredible skill of Anglo-Saxon and Viking metalworkers. The hoard is believed to have been buried during a time of conflict between warring Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, possibly by a noble or warrior seeking to hide his treasures from an advancing enemy. But what about the Vikings themselves? What traces did they leave behind in Britain? The Viking invasion and the Norse presence in England. In the late 8th century, the Vikings arrived on British shores as raiders, looting monasteries like Lindisfarne, 793 AD. However, they soon became settlers, farmers, and rulers, shaping much of England's medieval history. One of the most fascinating discoveries about the Vikings in Britain comes from an old Roman site, the fort of Vindolanda, near Hadrian's Wall. Archaeologists have found evidence of Viking presence there, indicating that the Norse warriors repurposed Roman ruins for their own settlements. This suggests that even centuries after Rome's fall, its influence shaped how different cultures settled in Britain. The Viking Great Army and the discovery at Repton, 873–874 AD. One of the most dramatic moments in British history was the invasion of the Viking Great Army, a massive force of Norse warriors that landed in England in 865 AD. Over the next decade, these warriors rampaged across the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, capturing cities, fighting great battles, and even killing King Ethelred of Wessex. For centuries, historians debated where the great heathen army had established their winter camps. Then, in the 1970s, excavations in Repton, Derbyshire, uncovered a mass grave of nearly 300 individuals, many showing signs of violent deaths. The remains, along with Viking swords, battle axes, and shields, provide the first definitive evidence of the Viking Great Army's presence in England. Perhaps the most surprising discovery was a double burial, featuring a high-status Viking warrior in his 30s alongside a younger woman buried with a silver cross. Some archaeologists believe this man might have been Ivar the Boneless, the legendary Viking leader who played a major role in the invasion of England. Did Vikings introduce ship burials to Britain? The Gokstad connection, one of the most famous Viking discoveries, was not found in Britain at all, but in Norway, the Gokstad ship burial. This well-preserved Viking ship, discovered in 1880, contained the remains of a high-status warrior buried with weapons, animals, and treasure. Archaeologists now wonder, did this burial practice influence the Anglo-Saxons? The answer may be found in Britain's own Sutton Hoo ship burial, which bears remarkable similarities to Norse burials in Norway. The idea that Anglo-Saxon elites may have adopted Norse burial traditions highlights the complex relationship between the two cultures, often enemies, but also trading partners and even occasional allies. The interaction of the Anglo-Saxons and Vikings helped shape the future of England, leading to the formation of England as a unified kingdom under Alfred the Great, and later, his descendants. But the story of Britain's lost civilizations does not end with the Vikings. In the next chapter, we move into the medieval period, uncovering the ruins of castles, churches, and long-forgotten medieval towns. Stay tuned as we continue our journey through Britain's incredible buried past. The lost churches and cities of the Black Death. One of the deadliest pandemics in human history, the Black Death, 1347–1351, left an indelible mark on Britain. As the plague swept across the land, entire villages were abandoned, never to be repopulated. Many of these plague-ravaged settlements disappeared beneath fields and forests, waiting for archaeologists to rediscover them centuries later. One of the most famous lost villages is Warham Percy in North Yorkshire. In the 14th century, it was a bustling medieval settlement, but after suffering a sharp population decline due to the Black Death and economic struggles, it was eventually abandoned. Today, archaeologists have uncovered the remains of homes, fields, and even human skeletons that bear evidence of medieval life and death. But the devastation of the Black Death didn't stop at villages. In London, as the Great Plague of 1665 and 1666 ravaged the city, victims were buried in mass graves, now known as plague pits. These have been uncovered over time, with one of the largest discoveries occurring in 2015 during the Crossrail project. Archaeologists discovered more than 3,000 burials beneath Liverpool Street Station, shedding light on how the city struggled with disease during the 16th and 17th centuries. The discovery of Richard III's lost burial, 1485. The Wars of the Roses were a brutal chapter in England's history, culminating in the death of King Richard III in 1485 at the Battle of Bosworth. The last English king to die in battle, Richard, was defeated by Henry Tudor, who would go on to become Henry VII, the first king of the Tudor dynasty. For over 500 years, the location of Richard III's body was a mystery. Historical records suggested he was buried in Greyfriars Church in Leicester, but over time, the church was demolished, and the site was lost beneath modern streets. In 2012, archaeologists made a groundbreaking discovery. Richard III's skeleton was found buried under a car park in Leicester, exactly where historical records suggested. When the bones were tested, DNA analysis confirmed that they belonged to Richard III, ending centuries of speculation about his final resting place. His curved spine revealed that he had scoliosis, proving that his supposed hunchback, long thought to be Tudor propaganda, was, in fact, based on a real condition. The discovery rewrote history books and allowed for a king to be reburied with royal honors in Leicester Cathedral in 2015, more than 500 years after his death at the Battle of Bosworth. The lost warship, the Mary Rose, 1545. One of the most astonishing maritime discoveries in British waters is the Mary Rose, a Tudor warship that sank in 1545 while leading a battle against a French fleet. Commissioned by King Henry VIII, the warship sank within minutes in the Solent, just off the coast of Portsmouth. The king himself is said to have watched in horror as it disappeared beneath the waves. For over 400 years, the Mary Rose remained at the bottom of the sea. It wasn't until 1982 that an ambitious archaeological project finally raised a massive portion of the ship from the seabed. The wreck was found to be incredibly well preserved, offering a unique glimpse into Tudor naval technology and maritime warfare. The finds included personal belongings, shoes, clothing, and weapons left behind by the crew, cannons and weapons, a collection of Tudor-era firearms, longbows, and cannonballs, human remains, skeletons of sailors, including evidence of injuries sustained during the shipwreck. The Mary Rose provided an unparalleled snapshot of life in Tudor England, revealing details about sailing, warfare, and daily life in the 16th century. Today, the ship has been painstakingly preserved and is on display in Portsmouth, allowing visitors to step back in time to the era of Henry VIII's powerful navy. Britain's most mysterious king, the discovery of Richard III's remains for centuries. Historians debated the final resting place of King Richard III, the last Plantagenet king of England. He was killed in 1485 at the Battle of Bosworth, bringing an end to the Wars of the Roses and leading to the rise of the Tudor dynasty. After his defeat, Richard's body was hastily buried in Greyfriars Church, which was later lost to time as Leicester grew around it. Some even believed his body had been thrown into the River Soar, as claimed in later Tudor-era writings. Then, in 2012, archaeologists made a stunning discovery. While digging in a Leicester parking lot, they uncovered a skeleton with a curved spine and battle injuries. DNA testing later confirmed it to be Richard III. His remains revealed a story of a king who had likely suffered from scoliosis, but was far from the hunchbacked villain of Shakespeare's plays. He was reburied with royal honors in Leicester Cathedral in 2015. From hidden shipwrecks to lost kings, these discoveries prove that Britain's medieval and early modern past is still full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. But what other ancient secrets does the British landscape still hold? In the next chapter, we'll explore the forgotten Viking and medieval sites that continue to shape our understanding of British history. Stay tuned. As archaeological technology advances, so too does our ability to uncover Britain's hidden past. In the 21st century, new excavations and accidental discoveries have continued to reshape our understanding of history. From a Bronze Age village frozen in time to Viking treasure hoards and wartime ghost towns, modern archaeology is revealing incredible secrets beneath Britain's landscape. The Must Farm, a Bronze Age Pompeii, 2015 discovery. One of the most astonishing archaeological finds of recent years is the Must Farm near Peterborough, known as Britain's Pompeii. This Bronze Age village, dating back to 850-800 BC, was found astonishingly well preserved, providing an unparalleled glimpse into prehistoric life. In 1999, the remains of timber posts from a settlement were first discovered in the fens of Cambridgeshire, but it wasn't until 2015 that a full-scale excavation revealed an almost completely preserved prehistoric village. Key discoveries included intact roundhouses, built on stilts over a river. These dwellings collapsed in a catastrophic fire, preserving objects inside. Well-preserved wooden structures, sections of collapsed walls, flooring, and even woven wicker panels. Everyday objects, tools, wooden bowls, textiles, and even footprints of people who once lived in the village. Food remains, traces of meals from over 3,000 years ago, offering insight into Bronze Age diets. This discovery, often referred to as Britain's Pompeii, is one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 21st century. The level of preservation provides a rare glimpse into how our ancestors lived, down to the type of food they ate and the objects they cherished. The HS2 Archaeological Discoveries. A high-speed window into the past, the UK's HS2 high-speed railway project, one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in British history, has unexpectedly led to some of the most significant archaeological discoveries of recent years. As engineers dug through the landscape to make way for the railway, they unearthed thousands of artifacts, ancient roads, entire lost villages, and burial sites spanning 10,000 years of history. Some of the most remarkable finds include Roman and Saxon graves. The excavation has uncovered Romans buried with sandals, coins, and pottery, painting a vivid picture of life during the Roman occupation. A lost medieval church in Stoke Mandeville. During HS2 construction, archaeologists found the remains of St. Mary's Church, a 900-year-old building that was demolished in 1866. Beneath the church, they even discovered pre-Christian Roman-era burials, revealing layers of history. Battlefield discoveries, skeletons found near Buckinghamshire, appear to be the remains of soldiers from the English Civil War, 1642-1651, possibly those killed in battle more than 300 years ago. Ancient roads and settlements. HS2 projects have uncovered entire lost settlements, burial sites, and even prehistoric tools, helping archaeologists piece together the evolution of British landscapes over thousands of years. The Galloway Hoard, a Viking mystery. In 2014, metal detectorist Derek McLennan made a staggering discovery in Scotland, what would become known as the Galloway Hoard. This Viking treasure hoard, buried in Dumfries and Galloway, contains over 100 unique artifacts, including silver brooches, gold rings, a massive gold bird-shaped pin, and a rare crystal rock pendant. Among the treasure, archaeologists also found early Christian relics, including an Anglo-Saxon cross, an enameled pectoral cross, and a small rock crystal jar, believed to have contained a relic of a saint. The diversity of the hoard, Norse, Anglo-Saxon, and even Islamic artifacts, hints at the vast trading networks of the Viking world. Unlike other Viking hoards found in Britain, the Galloway Hoard wasn't just buried loot. Many of its objects were wrapped in textiles and carefully arranged, suggesting it was a ritual deposit, possibly of great religious or cultural significance. The discovery has changed historians' understanding of Viking life and the complex relationships between the Norse and the people of medieval Britain. The ghost villages of Britain is dotted with the remains of abandoned villages, many of which were deserted due to war, economic decline, or disease. Some of these settlements vanished after the Black Death in the 14th century, while others were lost due to the dissolution of the monasteries under Henry VIII, or the impact of the two world wars. One of the most famous examples is the village of Imber in Wiltshire, which was evacuated in 1943. The British Army took over the area for training, promising that villagers could return after World War II. However, the military continued using the land for training exercises, and the original residents were never allowed back. Today, the village remains frozen in time, with its abandoned buildings standing as a reminder of the war's impact on local communities. Other abandoned villages include Tyneham in Dorset, also seized by the military during Twys, and Dunwich, a medieval town that was once a thriving port before being slowly swallowed by the sea. Technology and the future of British archaeology. Modern archaeological discoveries owe much of their success to cutting-edge technology. A groundbreaking method called LiDAR, light detection and ranging, has revolutionized the field. By using laser pulses from drones and planes, archaeologists can now map out hidden structures beneath the ground without any need for excavation. One of the most impressive projects using modern technology is the HS2 Rail project, the UK's high-speed railway. While the goal is to improve transportation, its construction has also led to incredible historical finds, including medieval churches and burial sites, giving insights into lost communities. Roman roads and pottery workshops, providing evidence of trade routes. Ancient artifacts, including medieval weapons and personal belongings. With these game-changing technologies, the next great discovery in British history may already be lying hidden beneath our feet. What secrets are yet to be discovered? Even with thousands of incredible discoveries across Britain, many more remain hidden beneath fields, forests, and city streets. Advances in geophysics, AI, and satellite imagery are allowing archaeologists to peer into the past like never before. What lost cities, buried palaces, and ancient artifacts are still waiting to be found? Could the next great archaeological discovery in Britain be just beneath our feet? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to History Revealed for more incredible historical discoveries. That wraps up Chapter 2, Roman Britain, and Chapter 5, Modern Archaeology. Does this align with what you had in mind? Let me know if you want any additions, more depth in certain sections, or an adjustment in tone. Happy to help shape it further. A journey through Britain's hidden past. Over the past 4 hours, we've uncovered some of the most breathtaking archaeological finds in Britain's history. From the mysterious Neolithic ruins of Skara Brae and Stonehenge to the grandeur of Roman Britain, the riches of Anglo-Saxon and Viking burials, and the hidden stories revealed by modern archaeology, each discovery has reshaped our understanding of the past. Every artifact, every lost settlement, and every unearthed treasure brings us closer to the people who walked these lands before us. Their struggles, triumphs, and innovations still echo in the soil beneath our feet, waiting to be rediscovered. The future of archaeology, what's next? While the past has been uncovered piece by piece through traditional excavation, modern technology is revolutionizing archaeology like never before. Tools like LiDAR, light detection, and ranging allow researchers to scan entire landscapes, revealing hidden structures buried for centuries. AI-driven analysis is helping archaeologists predict where new sites might be found, while DNA analysis is unraveling the mysteries of ancient populations and migrations. With these breakthroughs, we are entering a golden age of discovery. The core question is, what secrets still lie hidden beneath Britain's soil? What do you think? Now I want to hear from you. Which of these discoveries amazed you the most? Do you think we are on the verge of finding even greater historical treasures? Let me know in the comments below. And if you love deep dives into history's greatest mysteries, make sure to subscribe to History Revealed and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you for joining this journey through time. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the future.